We're going to start talking about Drive now. So, since you're probably in your email last, if you go to the um, let me just allow this, sorry. If you go to the waffle here, the 9 apps for Google, Drive is right here that you can select. Um, just so you know, you can toggle down and move these around however you wish. But here we are in Drive. So when you default to Drive, yours will be empty. You're just starting, and that's a great place to be because you can start um, with a new organizational structure, or if you have a really good organizational structure that you brought from your last school, you will have some great habits to bring into this. Just so that we all know, and we're starting together with this shared drives, ASB works only in shared drives. What I mean by only in shared drives is that it is the expectation that any document, um, curriculum, student facing document, collaborative document is living somewhere in our shared drives. Shared drives is ASB's files and it's ASB's file organization. We expect there to be no files that are part of ASB in your My Drive. What you may have in My Drive is maybe a folder that is like personal documents. So this might be things like copies of your NIE, which is your Spanish identity card, your passport, maybe some bank information, things that have nothing to do with ASB. You could potentially use your My Drive and have a personal documents folder that you would take with you when you leave. A better system is to keep those things in your personal Gmail account. All right, so I'm going to go into talking about what shared drives looks like and how it's organized. We have shared drives for almost, well, should be for everything. And if we see that we're missing something, we add a shared drive for it. I want to talk a little bit about the generic shared drives that we all use, and then we'll jump into the instructional teaching shared drives that you will personally use. So I'm just going to change this view here. So all photos. All photos includes all photos that ASB takes, including staff photos. So if I go into last year's photos, I would be able to find every event that we do, your staff photo, student photos, everything is in all school photos. You have the right to view those. When you go on a field trip, and let's say that you go with your elementary team to a field trip, you might go to your ES drive within all photos and then upload the photos directly there. Our yearbook team uses this drive in order to create the yearbook. So when you do have photos that you want to share with the school, don't make a separate folder and then share it with who needs it. Put it in all school photos, and then you can share out that way. The second one here is all staff documents. And this includes all official letterheads, logos, and handbooks, policies, calendars for ASB. As an ASB staff member, you have the right to view all those documents. So those two you have viewing access to. Now we're going to get into some of the more instructional shared drives. And so that first one that you should have is Department PLC. This stands for Professional Learning Communities. So your team, your subject area team, or we call it SAT, will have a folder in here where you work on agendas and other PLC goals that you may be working towards. So you have the rights to add content and edit the content that is in here. So if you're a third grade teacher, I open up the grade 3 PLC, you can see all of our documents and our agendas are here. So when we meet together, that's where the agendas live. If you are cross-divisional, many cross-divisional teams use these PLC folders in order to save their curriculum documents. So if you are Castellano between middle school and high school, when you talk to your team, they might say to you, we use this PLC folder because it's one we both have access to. Then Department TL. So TL stands for Teaching and Learning. So that is your main group, this team that has been putting together the orientation for you. In here, you will find, of course, the orientation documents and presentations live in this folder. And then any other professional development that a member of the teaching and learning team gives will live in this drive. That guarantees that you have access to be able to go back and read it later, or if the document is shared out, that you'd have access. All right, so those are some generic or the common shared drives. Now we're going to get into where will you work every day. So I just put in here, this is an example for a teacher who works in elementary and who also works in middle school. If you are high school, you would see high school official drive or high school teaching. And if you were the early childhood, you'd see ECC for teaching and official documents. Every division has two different drives. One is official documents and one is teaching. Official documents includes items that your division leader, secretary, or any of the admin wish to share out with staff. Things like schedules, class lists, policies on field trips, open house. These documents you have access to view, but you don't have access always, unless given specific rights, to edit them. So if you are part of the elementary division, you definitely need to have the ES official documents. So anytime we have meetings, your division leader will put the agendas and slideshows and all the resources that you need for that in that team drive. The second shared drive that all staff need to have is their teaching one. So depending on which division you're in, so again, I'm looking at this ES teaching one, this is where you will create and save all of your teaching files. For this example, I'm going to say that I am a new third grade teacher. So I would open up the ES teaching drive and I would navigate. Here I can get a sense of how they organize it, but everything that I make will go into the grade 3 team drive folder. All right, so here you can see all the different subject areas, and some people are even just putting their name and saying, these are all my documents. Nothing you create can live in my drive, it only can be in the shared drive. Let's go back and use another example. Let's say that you are a middle or high school teacher coming in. Every document that you make will go into division, MS or HS teaching. So if you open this, you might think, what will the main folder I use be? And let's say I'm joining the humanities team. I would open up humanities and everything I make will go in here. To make this easy, your first job is going to be to find what is your teaching drive folder. So for example, if you're joining the elementary team, you'll go into ES teaching. If you're joining the ECC, you'll be in ECC teaching. If you're joining MS or HS, you'll be joining that teaching drive. Go into that drive, and I want you to find the grade level or subject area that you'll be teaching. So for this example, I'm going to find third grade. If you're going into MS or HS, you might find the subject area instead. And right now, this is only the place I'm working. I'm going to create a shortcut for this to my drive. So add shortcut to drive, and I'm going to add the shortcut right to my drive. Now, when I go into my drive, I can see here right away I'm going into grade 3, and then I can start navigating from that area. In your My Drive, please do not start making folders for English, math, nothing like that. Go first into your shared drive, make the shortcut directly from our shared drive into the My Drive. Now, when I go to My Drive, I can open up that shortcut and I can work within these folders. If you wish to, in the ES or MS or HS teaching folder, you can create one for yourself. However, do not make it from the My Drive directly. I'm sorry that we're hammering this in so much, but it's one of the hardest things when we are doing offboarding is to get people to make sure that their documents are in the shared drive. So it's just so much better if you start organized from the beginning. I'm going to show one more example of how to get organized in this. This time it's going to be with the MS teaching. Let's say that I'm a middle school teacher and I'm joining in the humanities team. I'm going to navigate to that humanities folder that I see right here, or math, whatever it is. And this is, I probably teach humanities across 6 and 8. And so I'm going to be using 6 and 8. I want to create a shortcut in my drive to this humanities folder. So I just say add shortcut to drive, and it automatically will add that shortcut to my drive. So when I open up drive, I also have a really quick link to this shared drive folder. This will help guarantee that whatever you make goes in there. Another way that people do organize, and I'm going to say show my bookmarks. bookmark bar, oh, I have it here, I just don't have any bookmarks, is if I know that I wanna have a bookmark for, like, this grade 6 humanities folder, on this lock, I'm on this, so it's on the path, I can just drag this down to my bar, and then I can rename this something like Humanities G6. Now I have my Humanities G6. Whenever I'm working and I wanna make a new document, I could click there and it automatically would take me to that shared drive path and link and folder. So there's 2 different ways. One, I suggest is to create the short link or the shortcut into your My Drive so you know where you're working. Or if you prefer to add it as a bookmark bar, then you'll know where that path is as well, and it will be a shortcut to help you get there. All right. So please, for your assignment for this um, tutorial, show us, sorry, teaching and learning team, that you have a system that you're going to use. Either you use a shortcut in the My Drive that takes you to, here I can see it's the ES Division Teaching Drive. So either you have it in your My Drive or you have it on your bookmark bar. That guarantees that whenever you go to make a new document, instead of saying make a new document, and you can see if I'm not in a folder, this document is just going to go into my My Drive. So if I'm in My Drive, see this untitled document I just made? No, we don't want to have anything in here, unorganized or not in a team drive. You want to go into the grade level you need to work with, and then you can create that document. So when I've entered the folder that I need to be in, now I can see that this document I just made lives in the teaching drive. All right. And then you can move it to the trash if you don't want it. Since this is just a test account, I don't have that right, but you will be able to move things in and out of the trash within this team drive. All right, so that covers shared drive. Um, and so if you are missing any shared drives, so the common ones are all school photos, all staff documents, department PLC, and TL. Everybody should have those. If you're missing one of those, you can make a request to helpdesk@asbarcelona.com. And then you must have your division, whether it's one division or two divisions, official documents, and teaching drive. If you're missing any of those, please email out that you need that before we start orientation. All right. Now I'm going to give you just a few more pointers on drives before we close off this tutorial, and that is priority. So when you're here in priority, they show you your most common or like recently used documents. I prefer not to have that on. And so I'm going to go up to settings and I'm just going to say turn, oh, I'm going to make sure that those are off, which I don't know why they're not going off there, but it should work for you, hopefully. And then I want to talk a little bit about workspaces. Workspaces is semi-new, and this is another great way to help you stay organized. What a workspace is, and I'm going to jump over to mine so you can see some examples. So what a workspace is another way to help you organize your files outside of how the shared drives are organized. So for example, I work a lot with ASB general grading. All three of these documents live in three different team drives. So that would take a lot for me to access those documents and a lot of back and forth of opening a shared drive. So instead, I've created a workspace, which basically just makes organized links to documents. I work a lot with beginning of year documents, and they're across many different divisions and different team drives. So I did the same thing by adding those shortcuts to documents in a workspace. You can kind of think of this as a folder, although it's not really moving any documents out of the folder that it belongs into. So let's get started on making a new one here for you. So if I'm in this example account, I'm going to create a new workspace. A good workspace for you might be beginning of year documents. So there's going to be a lot of documents that you have to work and access at the beginning of the year. One of them could be the new teacher orientation document. There could be some documents that HR give you. And so just add one file to this now. And let's see if I can find a new teacher orientation. schedule. All right, so I'm just going to take this old one, even though it's not 2022, just so you can see how this is added. And so now I've added this. What it has done is added a shortcut for me, but not moved it out of any file or folder for anyone else. I'm going to add another file here. One that I like to use in the beginning of the year is launching tech. Let's see. So maybe this is another document that you might want to add. Again, you don't have to add anything yet because you don't have these documents, but it's a good idea to start the workspace. And as documents start coming into your email, you can start adding them to this workspace. So that is how workspaces work. If you love Workspace and you think this is really useful, you can see that in your settings, you could say, make priority my default homepage, so that whenever you go into Drive, let's get rid of these. I'm going to go into Drive, brand new. Now priority is my homepage. Again, Drive has the shortcut to the team drive that I have to work in, and then shared drives have everything else there. So go ahead and make the shortcut that you need to make to your working shared drive. And you can make it again as a bookmark bar or in your My Drive. And it might even be nice to get some of your workspaces started. So beginning of the year documents might be a good one to get started for workspaces. Spaces. All right, thank you. And I hope this tutorial was helpful.